Can I take you up on what you just said there? You took up flying in the early years. Could you tell us what that entailed?
Well, at that period of time, the aviators were revered, just as the pop singers and groups are today.
Indeed.
And that kept it. The exploits of aviators like Bert Hinkler and Kingston Smith and Charles Holm and others captured my imagination, and I aspired to be an aviator.
Yes.
So in 37, 38, I got to work, and I induced the Royal Victorian Aero Club to bring an aircraft out to Claremont, and for an instructor to give training to those that were interested.
Yes.
And this worked out very well for a while.
Yes. I'm thrilled a bit to know that you know Nancy Bird Walton.
Oh yes, I've met Nancy Bird Walton and seen her quite often, yes. I haven't seen her in recent times, but she's going along strongly, isn't she?
Oh, she is, and I know that one of our great supporters on this program and at Eastern FM generally, Doug Brockfield, who'll be listening tonight, will be thrilled to know that. But Bert Hinkler, of course, was a Queenslander.
From Bundaberg, yes.
From Bundaberg,
yes.
So how proud were you of those people? It's wonderful. Did you ever meet Hinkler?
No, I never did, no.
No. Nor Kingsford Smith?
No, I didn't meet either of them.
No. Well, let's take up the story now, Keith, about you applying to be in the Air Force and being rejected because of colour blindness. What happened next?
Oh, well, I was, at that time, excuse me.
Yeah. There's a glass of water there. Speaking of water, as we were before, I'll whistle Dixie while we all have a sip.
Well, I was still with my brother.
Yes.
Up in North Queensland, and I enlisted from there in the Australian Imperial Force.
Yes.
For service overseas.
Yes.
In December of 1941.
1941. Was that when you were drafted to the 1st Australian Armoured Division, or is that coming?
Yes, well, yes, that's right. I was posted to the 1st Australian Armoured Division.
Right.
Following my enlistment.
You told me a name. You mentioned Red Robbie.
Red Robbie, yes.
Tell us about Red Robbie.
Lieutenant General H.C.H. Robertson.
Yes.
Yes, a much feared man by us fellows in the Armoured Division.
Yes.
But he used to made a practice of appearing out of nowhere. He seemed to be everywhere at once.
A cunning fox.
A cunning fox, yes indeed.
Yes. You were doing exercises in New South Wales in these
New South Wales around Gunnedah and Minginoo, and Gunnedah and in that area, and then afterwards we moved from there across to Western Australia.
Right.
And we carried out exercises around Minginoo and Moora and up towards Geraldton and Hot Shot as a place was one place on the coast was known.
All right. And Keith, about then you applied for a commission and were accepted?
Yes, I applied for a commission and was sent to Octu at Woodside in South Australia.
Was that?
And I graduated from there.
You graduated from there. Now, when did the jungle training work come in at Canungra? Where did that happen?
Well, I went to Canungra from Octu, actually.
I see.
I was posted to there.
Yes.
And, time lengthened out interminably, and I was getting pretty browned off with the whole thing. I'd been held up I felt I'd been held up in the Armoured Division. It hadn't gone anywhere.
Yes.
And now I was being held up at the Jungle Training Centre, putting troops, one platoon after another, through training.
Yes.
And it was quite arduous, really, climbing over the McPherson Ranges and that sort of thing. And so I applied for just about everything that I could see coming up.
Yes.
And one of the things that I applied for was service with the 2nd New Guinea Infantry Battalion, which were native troops.
Wonderful.
And was interviewed by the CO along with a number of others, and he conveyed the idea that we would be out of there pretty quickly.
Yes.
And when it didn't happen, I saw that the officers of the AIF were being invited to apply for service with the British Army in India.
Yes.
For service with the forgotten 14th Army.
Yes.
Which was commanded by a splendid gentleman called Bill. Bill, who afterwards was our Governor General, Sir William
Slim. Isn't that wonderful? Keith, can I go back a notch? You mentioned the McPherson Ranges. Did you go anywhere near where the Stinson?
Yes, I was up to the Stinson. Yes.
Were you?
Yes, there was not very much of it left there at that stage, and you know, it come down in 1937, and people, free access. It lies at the headwaters of the Stockyard Creek, up around Christmas Creek, Stockyard Creek. Yeah.
Very difficult country.
Well, most difficult. Yes. And I also knew.
Did you know Bernard
O'Reilly? Yes.
Did you?
Yes. He actually was in convalescent depot, the exhibition grounds in Brisbane. He had very bad varicose veins.
Yes.
And the army medicos put some sort of coagulant into his veins, and his legs looked an awful mess. In any case, the net result was that I think after causing him a certain amount of inconvenience and pain, they didn't take him. They rejected him, so he didn't serve.
Oh, well, Bob, who's just had to leave temporarily, will be most interested to learn of that because he has done a special segment on this program about Bernard O'Reilly. Yeah. A wonderful man.
Yes, a splendid chap.
I gather.
Quite a good sense of humour too.
Oh, that's lovely. It's lovely to know that you knew him, Keith.
Mm.
So, service with the New Guinea natives, was that in the Nadzab area? Was that?
Yes, in Markham Valley, in Nadzab, yes.
Okay.
That's where they were when I joined them. Yes.
Right. Just a comment about the conditions up there compared to, say, the McPherson Ranges. Were they very similar?
The Markham Valley was more open. Much more open, covered in kunai grass.
Yes.
Tall kunai grass.
Yes. Yes.
Not rainforest, but when you got away from the valley, there was rainforest.
Yes. Now, Keith, let's explore this service that you did with the British Army in India. Where was that?
Well, as I told you, I'd applied for so many different things, and I was with the 2NGIB and quite happily placed. Yeah. And I came in one evening, and the colonel looked at me rather sharply, and he said, Hatfield, he said, you won't be here tomorrow. And, my chin must have struck the ground, I think. And then he took compassion on me, and he said, you're going off to the British Army in India, and I wish I were going with you.
And you went
and without more ado, he let me go.
He let you go, and you went from Station Pier here in Melbourne?
Yes, that's right, yes, on the good ship Tuberdak.
On the Tuberdak, a Dutch vessel, was it?
Dutch vessel,
yes. Tuberdak, ex-Station Pier. Where were you when your jaw hit the ground? Was that here in Melbourne?
No, that was when I was making reference to that when I was confronted by the CO up in New Guinea.
Yes. But I was going to say there are a few holes around Station Pier. I wondered if one of those could have been it. But now, the important thing, Keith, and by the way, listeners to Eastern FM tonight are just loving hearing Keith Hatfield with us. Keith, you remained a member of the AIF, didn't you? This was the important thing.
Yes, I was. The officers in my category who applied to the British Army in India and who were accepted remained as a member of the Australian Imperial Force until they set foot on land in India. And that was the place where we went ashore was Calcutta.
Calcutta.
Yeah.
Now, how soon after did your friend Paul say that you should join the Scotch Regiment?
That was somewhere on the way across the Indian Ocean, and it was after an irrigated lunch. We were sitting there in the afternoon, the sun was beating down, and he looked across at me and he said, you know, he said, when we get to Calcutta, we should join a Scottish regiment. And I said, oh, yes, very good idea. And I thought no more about it.
We're not laughing at the contents of the tummy at this stage. We're just laughing at the fact that here we have a very tall, handsome man with legs like a water bird, you told me.
Well, that's my description, and that's what they are.
Who had no idea.
And I had no idea of wearing a kilt.
Fancying himself in a kilt.
My commanding officer used to say to me, I always wore my trousers, of course, every time I could get into it. He'd have a look at me and say, well, when you get yourself correctly dressed, I'll take you out with me.